to Anime Adventures. This is a show where I bring you interviews with actors, artists, and others in the anime and Kameha Con world. I'm your host, I'm Elise Baughman, and this is part of a Kameha Con exclusive series brought to you by Con Live, the company that brings you the experience of a live convention right into the comfort of your own home. Now, today's special guest is artist Jeffrey Turner. He created and he is the founder of Shiny Creations, and he does really unique wood-stained prints. They're different than anything that I have seen before. He's also a self-proclaimed Dragon Ball nerd, and of course I love hearing that. Let's bring him on right now. It's our guest, Jeffrey Turner.
Hey.
Jeffrey!
Thanks for having me.
Hi! I love your studio, your space. It's so cool to see some of your artwork, especially that huge piece right behind you.
Yes. Oh, it's one of my favorite ones right here. I debuted it at Kameha Con 2. I love it.
I love that. Man, how is that one of your biggest pieces?
Actually, no. I've done a 4 foot by 8 foot piece before, a couple of them. So
Wow.
this is like medium, I guess, kind of.
Okay. Well, let's tell us, because your artwork, your wood-stained pieces are unique. They are different from other things that I've seen. Will you tell us exactly what you do and about your process so we can understand a little bit more about you and your business?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's something I kind of been working on for, gosh, I guess 5. How many years has it been? About 6 years now. Yeah, I've been working on it for about 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It's wood staining, as you mentioned. There's no carving, no etching, no burning. It's just straight up stain, so you keep the grain throughout. And one of the big things about the process is it's all about the wood. Doesn't matter the stenciling as much, the stain as much. It's the wood. I mean, you gotta start with the right base, find the right texture, right pattern, right light and dark. Right, integrity where it's not flaking off. Then I gotta create my stencils, which have actually gotten a lot more complex. If you look at my stuff over the last few years, I got a drawing tablet a year ago. So I'm not using a mouse anymore. I'm actually using like a pen and everything. So I make a stencil, and I only use a specific brand of stencil material. I've been using for 3 years now. Specific type of wood stain that I've had the best luck with, where it doesn't overly bleed and it doesn't not bleed enough and all that sort of good stuff. And I just, I sand it real good. Lay the stencil right, stain it out real good. I even have a certain way I remove the stencil because wood wants to rip and tear, stain wants to bleed. So it's just a very involved process. It takes a little bit of time. Every piece takes a little bit of time to make.
It sounds like it. So what's for, let's say, a smaller piece? Because what would be, do you even have an average size piece that you work with?
So my average, so the smallest I typically do, actually just kind of an example, it's about a 12-inch by 12-inch piece.
Oh, I love that one. Okay.
I took this from the manga. It's, Goku and Tien at the World Martial Arts Tournament the first time they were not enemies. So that's my smallest size, typically is 12 by 12. And all my pieces, I usually put a bracket in the back and everything, a little sawtooth, so you can just put a nail in the wall and hang it on there. And then my most common piece, just for the integrity of the scene and getting the most image I can possible into it, is actually about I'm a fool and it's not all scary. Here we go. Here's a good one. Everyone loves this one. It's one of my newest designs. So this is a 12-inch by 18-inch.
Oh, nice.
So 1.5 by 1.5 feet. You can tell it's new because I haven't even put the bracket on the back yet. So made it before I moved. So yeah, so 12-inch by 18-inch is the most common I do because you get so much more of the character. Sometimes I do scenes where they're sideways and there's people fighting or doing kamehamehas and all that sort of good stuff. That's my most common piece, is a 12 by 18.
So a piece like that.
I was like, generally everything I do is some combination of either 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 or something like that. The size ratio. So yeah.
And a piece like that's 12 by 18, how long does that typically take you?
I mean, if you're talking about post-design, that's the big thing. Is a design could take me 3 hours, or I had a custom commission that took me 6 months because it was just so involved and my head just hurt the more I messed with it. But once it's designed, each individual piece, probably about half an hour to an hour for that size, half an hour-ish. It depends on the mode I'm in. If I'm getting ready for Kameha Con, I'll sit down and I'll make all my stencils. I'll make 50, 60 stencils at once.
Oh, wow.
I'll do 4 at a time. So I'll cut the wood for 4 12 by 18s. I'll sand them all at the same time. I have everything lined up, place the stencils, and just go back to back to back. So I mean that could be closer to like 25 minutes, but typically it's around half an hour to 45 minutes a piece for that size.
Okay, and well, I have another question, but if you're joining us live and you have a question or a comment, please drop those in the comments below, and I have somebody helping me who will either post your comments while we're talking or feed them to me in our chat, because we would love to answer any questions you have about his artwork. So just wanted to say that, but we should also say that you will be at Kameha Con 3, right?
Oh yes, I'll be at every Kameha Con unless I'm dead, probably, or in the hospital. That is assured, man.
Yes, you were at Kameha Con too, and I was too, of course, and we missed each other. So
I was even at the first one, which was like I didn't know what to expect, and I underestimated how strong the fandom still is, because I sold out by Saturday at 1:00 on the first that first weekend. I had to go home and make as many as I could. I was up till 3 a.m. and still sold out by lunchtime on Sunday the next day.
Oh, so you went home that Saturday night and made more and came back?
Yes, I went to 4 different Lowe's around DFW, grabbed as much wood as I could, and I swear my neighbors, I'm surprised they didn't come and bang on my door, because I have an attached garage in a townhome, and like I swear I was cutting wood at probably 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night on a table saw in a townhome complex. So yeah, I was up late. It was miserable. But I sold it all. I have a picture somewhere. I left with 2 pieces of wood from the whole weekend, and they were both non-Dragon Ball prints. So. Oh
my goodness, that's crazy. Now I did see that we have had one comment. Karen Panjwani said that Gogeta print in the back is awesome. Hey Karen, thank you for joining us. Well, oh my gosh, I just have visions of you like hitting every Lowe's, and I know you're pretty picky too. So. Oh, yeah. That must have been.
Parts I'll go and they'll have like 15 sheets, and I'm holding the wood in the air. Like I talked to I forgot his name. He did the Tao of Dragon Ball. He's a good writer, and he was talking about how artistic it is. I'm like, I'll be holding the wood up and I'm like touching it, and I'm in different lighting because I want like the perfect piece. I'm very OCD. I'm kind of the person, if I don't think that I would want it, I literally throw it away. Like it needs to be perfect, or at least as close to perfect to where I can kind of maybe. That 1%, 99%, it's gonna be 99% perfect. So yeah, I'll go to every Lowe's and I might buy one piece, and they'll have like 15 4x2s of birch wood. It's a headache.
Oh my goodness. Now, when you were deciding, because you obviously are artistic, how did you decide to use wood as your medium?
It's actually funny. It was very random. I had a friend, is the best way to put it, and they were trying to make some Christmas gifts one year, and I had a 2-bedroom. I had a nerd room. I made like my Gundam models, which you can't really see in the background, but made some models and some other small craft stuff. So I had like a workbench in my room that I do stuff on and all that stuff. And so they came over and they saw some Pinterest about you buy a bunch of wood stakes and you glue them together with a glue gun and you get mailbox lettering and you stain over and you have Bible verses. And I tried to tell her, I was like, that's not going to work. And she's like, no. And like, I let her do it, and it did not come out well at all. So to the point that she just threw it away. So me being me, I went to the store and I bought wood, just single piece. I bought the lettering. I sat there and every individual letter I had to hand place before I had an actual vinyl printer. And hand placing every mailbox letter to put these Bible verses on. And I was like, oh, and it actually looked really good. I did 2 of them. And I was like, well, I wonder, like, because I never seen anyone do that sort of stuff. I mean, I see the words sometimes, but I never really see like artsy stuff. And it's Christmas time, so I was like, let me see. One of my sisters loves rap, so I did one of like Tupac. But I went online and found a picture of him, like a stencil, and I cut it out by hand with an X-Acto knife. And like with my fingers stained around the paper, it's so bad. And I was like, okay, so that kind of looks like the image. It's not perfect. It's a little blotchy, and there's some weird spots. And I was like, well, what if I could just make my own, stencils? And then I started looking into different vinyl printers, and then I did the whole experimentation. But it's something where I was like, I never seen anyone do it, and I'm not a good freehand person. I'm a doodler. I can doodle all day.
Yeah.
If you want me to draw like a proper looking face by hand, I will erase it like 5,000 times. Like I have a little Huon tablet, and I will draw a straight line and then redo it. Like last night I was up late drawing one. I drew this line 20 times before I just finally was like, fine, that's a fine line. But so I was like, wood, at least it's a medium. It's very transformative. Mm-hmm. I like it too because like, and not to bash other artists. Everything's different. Everyone does their own thing. I like my stuff because it doesn't require you to buy a frame and buy the glass that goes in the frame and mounting stuff and all that stuff. And it's every piece is hand finished. Even though I call them prints, I have to make everyone by hand. So I wish I could just like automate it, but the most I can automate is the stencils, and even then you got to weed them all by hand. So it's just one of those things where every piece you get, I actually did myself, and you don't have to buy extra stuff for it. So if I sell a piece for $60, you just take it home, throw it in the wall, and you're good. You don't have to go buy a frame for it. So it's just different.
That's really cool. And it's actually kind of interesting that you accidentally fell into using that as your art medium.
It was just it was total happen. It's just me being that person who's like, well, I'm gonna go do it for you since you wouldn't let me help you. And then they're like, oh, it looks pretty good. So I still do some biblical stuff for friends and family and every now and then. But my main thing's just been anime, because the cons are just, I'm living in DFW where Kameha Con's held and all that stuff, and all a lot of the voice actors are, and studios are here. It's just so much in DFW. Other than last year, of course, there's usually a lot of events. So that just kind of took over. I mean, I like doing some sci-fi stuff. I like doing I've done business logos and wedding announcements. I got a couple friends. I made friends from Kameha Con, and they were customers. And now they like help me at every con, and I went to their wedding, and make different like little wedding sign stuff. Like, it's just, I do a little bit of everything, but it's fun. I miss cons. I do, off topic, but I miss cons.
I do too. Well, it's really topical because we, usually I'm doing these interviews from cons, and now we're doing them live. So it's actually related. Now, I was going to ask you, because you do anime stuff, you do Dragon Ball stuff, other anime, but you do kind of any pop culture, nerd culture, you do other stuff as well, and you brought that up and touched on it, and you take commissions. So it sounds like you do a little bit of everything when it comes down to it, right?
Exactly. As long as it's not something that I have like a moral, like something I don't like, either it's like, inappropriate, or it's like bloody, and I like more like artsy stuff a little bit. But I'll do I've done Transformer stuff for friends. I've done a little bit of everything. Like I said, business logos. I've done just kind of random things. A little bit of everything. Yeah. So I do seem to stick most of the anime, though. That's just how the audience.
Oh, you do? Okay.
But I do commissions for just about anything. And what I usually do for folks, I'm really weird. I will usually go so far as a rendering, depending on what it is, how complex it is. A lot of times I'll even do the rendering without like a deposit, which I know a lot of folks won't do.
Oh, true, yeah.
Just because it's kind of like a lot of time. But I'll at least get to a basic rendering of, hey, this is kind of how it would look, just make sure. So yeah, if people hit me up and they're like, the craziest one, which is not anime at all, and it's the one that took me like 6 months. It's on my website. It was a Legend of Zelda piece with the character Link on the horseback with the bow and arrow drawn. And it was just... It hurt, but I wanted to do it as like a challenge. It's like, I don't know how to, it's just so many different things going on with the body twisted and the weapon and the lighting. And so I like commissions. I like commissions for sure. And it doesn't have to be nerd stuff even. It could be, like I said, logos, wedding announcements. I've done a few people's dogs, but that really depends on the coloration of the dog.
Okay.
Since it's basically black and white, if you kind of look at it that way, it depends how your dog looks. If your dog is just a solid color, it's probably not going to look right.
Okay. Well, and right now you have a special going on, and what is it? Kameha Con. If you use that code, all one word, you get free shipping this weekend. So I did want to say that. That is so great.
Yep, on my website, there's shinycreations.net. I want to get .com. It was for sale, but it was like several $1,000s. I was like, people seem to find .net fine. I haven't had any trouble.
Yeah, .net sounds great.
Yeah, just use that code. It should be good through tomorrow night at midnight. So if anyone wants to go on there, so basically, it doesn't matter if you buy one little piece, like my square ones, the little small ones are usually like $45 typically.
Yeah.
And I just eat the shipping. Just yeah.
Oh, that's so great. Well, and we should say too, because you have a piece that's been autographed. Like, that's a great thing about what you do too. If people, once conventions come back, you can have actors autograph, or whomever else you want to autograph the pieces. Will you hold up that?
Oh, yeah. So
that
one of
that you have?
One of the topical ones for Dragon Ball first. This one is one I actually made last con season. So it's sad because it's only got one autograph. This was a fun one because I started off, and we kind of go. This is a 2 foot by 1.5 feet.
Wow.
I took parts from both the anime and the manga. Essentially, I did the bubbles like in the manga, but then I used the text from one of the original English dubs. I actually think it was the original Ocean dub, to be honest, on this part. With Vegeta doing his Gallic gun, Goku doing his Kamehameha. And luckily, my last convention, which this is 2019, gosh, I was in Wisconsin. I drove to Wisconsin for the Wisconsin Kameha Con, and Sean Schimmel was there. So I got him to autograph it. And what's nice is on the darker parts, the reflective gold and silver Sharpies stand out really well. And again, this is a year and a half old, and it's been in my garage, and like nothing wears on it. It's got a real good clash. I actually should have grabbed it. I just got one autographed by Johnny Young Bosch last month. He does a lot of voices, of course. He's a Power Ranger. Of
course,
and he used gold on a Trigun piece that I made, and it stood out really well as well. So I do typically tell folks that, hey, you can get any of my pieces, and it's also a really unique way to display an autograph versus, just buying the standard print. Obviously, it costs more, but it'll look a lot more unique on your wall or your mantle, wherever you put them, depending on the size. But then I also started. This is because of the last Kameha Con. So this is where Kameha Con is where I get all my ideas, and so I got to thank all the folks at Kameha Con for this. You go, and I'm a fan. Like, I'm not just like, oh, let me find what I can sell. And so I found out, hey, most of the Funimation voice actors from back when DBZ was running also voiced Yu Hakusho characters. And then I found out like there was a lot of crossover. So for me personally, I was like, well, what can I do to do all the characters that's kind of different? So I actually started making actual autograph boards. And it was great because I did get several actors' autographs on it. And so you got, the silver, and you get the black on the raw wood part. So I made a couple of designs like this for this in Hero Academia. I need to do a Dragon Ball one for next Kameha Con. But I made this just for me. This wasn't even ever going to be for sale. And I had it on one of the little hanger things behind me at my booth. And that whole weekend, I kept having people come by my booth. Hey, I want to buy that. Hey, can I buy that? Hey, I need to get that right now so I can go get it autographed. And I was like, hey man, this is mine. Sorry, this is for me to get autographed. So I did miss a couple folks that were there for a day or two, like Chuck Huber. I think he was there one afternoon.
He was just there one day, yeah.
And I think John I don't want to say his name wrong. I think he didn't come last year, but he was there the first year. So I need a couple more, of course. I think I'm missing 3, but yeah. So these make great autograph boards. Again, they're different. It's something different.
I love that. And it does show up so well. You're right. The black against the light, and then the gold or silver against the dark. That's really unique. I love that. I'll
have one for you next time. I'll have to do one for GT. I'm trying to work on one where maybe it's like Goku and Great Ape, and then Pan just kind of So something.
Ooh, now you're on video saying it, so I think that commits you.
At least one. I'm kidding. Oh, goodness.
Well, it's so interesting hearing about your process and just seeing the stuff that you have. And gosh, people should go follow you on Instagram and your other platforms, because just scrolling through, I followed you on there, of course, but just scrolling through what you have, it's just really cool to see. And I know if anybody can come to Kameha Con and some of the other conventions as the world opens back up, I can't wait to see everything in person. And I know it's a whole different experience to be there and see it and touch it and get to see it live. And I know that's the feedback you get too. So I can't wait to see you there.
Oh yeah, and I don't even tell people at the conventions, feel free, I usually have one piece on the table, feel free to come touch it, feel it, see, it's just a very different medium than what most folks are used to. So yeah, seeing it in person is a whole different thing. It looks fake almost. So I tell people, it looks like I printed off something I made in the computer and pasted it to the wood, because the wood grain, it's just different. I like it, so.
I love it. I can't wait to see it in person. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I'm very excited. This is awesome. This is just awesome being able to be here. So I'm excited too.
Well, thank you. And if you joined us live, thank you for being here. If you're watching us on Anime Adventures, I always love that you are joining me. Please subscribe, because we've got a lot of interviews coming up with actors, artists, composers, you name it. So I appreciate you guys. And I think, Jeffrey, we can sign off right here.
All right.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks, guys. Bye.